back to SportsKhabri, and yeah, we're back with another podcast edition for our business section. And joining us today is Apurv Gupta, the head of contact sports at Capri Sports. Apurv, first of all, I mean, before we really dive into it, can you tell us a bit about yourself, what you do, and how this how this journey sort of into sport culminated for you?
Hi, Rahul. First of all, thank you for having me here. Great to speak with you and share whatever little I've learned over the last decade or so. I mean, from my point of view, I graduated in economics, but was always involved in sports in some capacity or the other as an athlete. Organized local tournaments, so there was always an interest. And then, I found out that there's something called sports management that exists. So I delved deeper into that and realized that there are actual courses available for students today to pursue a career in sports. And I'm talking, 2005, 2006, or fair time back. So that was my sort of, journey where it all sort of kick-started. When it came to sports business management, landed up doing a couple of courses, went to Australia, did my master's in sports management from Australia, worked there with the likes of Matthew Hayden, etc. And then came back to India and joined Star India, where I was fortunate enough to launch Pro Kabaddi League. Spent a good amount of time over there, 8 years before joining Amazon Prime Video. And then obviously from Amazon Prime Video, I joined Capri Sports, a year back to really, be a part of be a part of the organization, and help the business grow, the brand grow. It's been fantastic so far, and that's what my journey has been.
Apur, you spoke about working with Matthew Hayden. Of course, I think you've seen a fair few sports in your time. I mean, 10 years is a long time, and now you've also helped launch the Pro Kabaddi League. Where do offbeat sports sort of stand in India right now? Sports like Kho, sports like Kabaddi that you're involved with today, as opposed to the bigger sports like say cricket or football.
I think so. I mean, cricket is a country where Rahul, sports are just about to get their due, right? I mean, if we look at the last 10 years, the amount of leagues that have sort of come forward, a lot of people have experimented with what are called so-called indigenous sports, like kabaddi and kho. Kabaddi has been a massive success. Completed its 10 years last year. Kho is about 2.5 years old, entering into its season 3. So I think so there is an opportunity for these sports to find their own niche, to find their own growth path. With the kind of population size that we have, with the kind of diverse audiences that we have, with the advent and the growth of digital media today, along with TV still being relevant, I think so there is a space for multiple sports. And with Khelo India Games, with the impetus by the government on development of sports, and the way even in the education sector we see sports are now becoming a little bit more mainstream. People are focusing, institutions are focusing. So I think so there is a good opportunity for even the so-called offbeat sports like Kho and all, which have not traditionally been very popular in urban areas, in private schools, etc. I do see an opportunity for them to sort of mushroom and grow and find their own place in this, large ecosystem that we have.
Interesting, Abu. And on Kabaddi first, before we jump into Kho, how have you seen the growth of the PKL, and have you seen it really translate into metro cities? Again, I'm speaking from a very layman, basic fan perspective. I'm giving is we used to play Kabaddi, a bit of Kabaddi in school, but it wasn't as popular, say, as other less sort of, I wouldn't say less relevant sports, but I think lesser sports like a badminton or a tennis, it was played a little lesser than that. But suddenly there's this whole fan culture that has started. I'm not sure whether it's translated into kids actually taking up these sports, but the fan culture I feel like has grown. In my household itself, I have a younger brother who watches the PKL regularly. He's a thorough follower, and I've seen a few people around me really take to the sport. So how have you seen the growth of the PKL, and where do you think it stands in terms of in comparison to other sports in metro cities?
See, Kabaddi is a very fascinating case study, and I was fortunate enough to be on the league side when the sport launched. I was with Star at that point in time. And I think so. It's one of those sports, and it was launched at a time where Indian sports was, you know, was on a growth trajectory in a very different way, because there was IPL, there were a couple of other leagues like HIL and all, but nobody had really sort of broken the barrier to really be called a second sport, which was somewhat not close, very close to cricket, but somewhere between what traditional sports and cricket, had seen as a gap between them. And it's a sport that, uh, was thought through very well. I mean, having been on that side, I think so what people didn't realize was how widespread the sport already was in parts of India. It's massively played. It has more than 20,000 clubs, etc. Even in cities like Bombay and all, it's widespread. Yes, probably the private schools and the metro urban audiences probably did not participate in the sport that much. But it had the characteristics, the action or the comebacks that you want in a sport. So it was, and then obviously Star put its own magic through the lenses and the storytelling, which I think so appealed. So in terms of the audience size and the way fans have responded, it's appealed to both. Rahul, it's we get a lot of fans and audiences from the urban areas, from the metros. As well as the loyalists to the sports in smaller towns, tier one, tier two cities. So it's got a wide diaspora of and demographics. But what's really heartening to see in kabaddi is that a lot of kids are involved. Females are involved as well. So from a from a from an India perspective, if I have to talk about, with kids and females being participating in the sport, I think so that is a very good sign for the future of the sport and growth of the sport. We can already see the focus on women's sports, etc., that is growing. And there is women's kabaddi. Hopefully, in future, we'll have a women's kabaddi league as well. But women's kabaddi still exists today. We are the Asian Games gold medalist in both men's and women's as well. So I think so that you know all the factors put in together with the way the league has been packaged, I think so it has appealed to a very wide diaspora, including the urban audiences.
Again, I think at least from an urban perspective, it looks like that to me as well. But again, now I want to sort of shift to Coco as well. It's again for me, I'm giving an urban perspective. Seen it in schools, played it as a kid, and sort of as I grew up, I kind of saw the sport get lost. And I'm not too sure if today's kids even know like what Coco is. Again, I'm talking about 13 years, 14-year-olds. But Apurv, again, because you've seen it from a much closer perspective, where does Coco stand? Is there a sort of resurgence of Coco that's happening in the world of sport?
See, Coco is still very, very new in the world of
Okay.
leagues. It's just 2 years old. And even if we look at, say, the more popular sports, cricket, etc., they have been extremely popular for decades. And then the IPL came. Over here with, say, the PKL, with Coco and couple of other leagues, I think so. The approach is slightly reversed, wherein we're using the power of leagues, the power of professional leagues, to really popularize the sport in a much larger diaspora. Again, Coco has a very healthy on-ground presence, right? A lot of kids play it, a lot of schools play it. There are regular competitions of Coco. A lot of clubs are there of Coco. I think so. The challenge for all of us who participate in the Coco League and who have taken that commitment to grow the sport is that year on year we have to keep building the stature of the sport. We have to keep bringing it to light for as many people, fans, viewers, etc., as possible. Because today the market is chaotic. Not chaotic, but it has too many options for people. So you really have to position the sport properly, and keep sending the message out to fans that we are here to stay. We are here to build the sport. We are here to build a strong brand. And the federation also is participating in that with have they have plans of organizing the Coco World Cup, potentially taking it to the Olympics, Asian Games, etc. So all of that put together is where I think so we'll see a leap, in Coco's popularity. As of now, 2 years old, it's too early uh, to really say it's been a huge impact. But yes, it's been a very positive impact from a league's perspective. Uh, we had about 190 million digital engagement between social and online viewing, etc. So these are impressive numbers, right? These are not small numbers, but the aim is to grow it much bigger, and that's a journey that will take a few years.
But I want to come to the sort of sponsorship side. You said, of course, these two sports are in, I think, different phases of their growth. So I'm sure the sponsorship front must have also been very different for, say, a Bengal Warriors compared to the Rajasthan Warriors. So how has that been the challenge to bring in sponsors with both these sports?
See, again, sponsorship industry is ever evolving, I think so. And a lot depends on the current climate, what's happening. um, and even in IPL or any of the leagues, sponsorship is always a challenge, right? It's
Mhm.
never an easy ask to go and sell in the market to raise revenues. I think so. Rajasthan Warriors, again, Kho new league. It's going to take us a couple of years to really start hitting our targets. But from our point of view, we want to focus on brands. We want to focus on partnerships that add value, right? One is the revenue side of things, but the power of sponsorship is not only in terms of the money that a brand pays, but also the association, right? It has to be a good brand fit. It has to hit the right notes on both ends, where we partner, where we can leverage each other to really, uh, from our point of view, provide value to our partners, and from our perspective, the partner provides value to us, right? So we want our partners to participate with us, etc. So that's our core focus. That's where we want to take our sponsorship journey to. While revenue will always be an important part, but I think so from a when you're out there to build a brand, it's very important to have the right set of partners, and revenues will flow in, eventually.
Are there any interesting activations that you want to talk about that have already been done or plans in the making?
See, I think so. There are always new things that are happening. I think so. We've had a really good set of activations online with influencers, with organic influencers, etc., which were very nice. To see those, giving them a stadium experience, a one of a kind experience where they could come, they could create content with our players. It's a very different perspective, which often fans don't get to see when they're watching just the match on TV. From our point of view, we're always sort of our marketing team is always looking at newer opportunities, what's out there, how can we make an impact rather than doing the run of the mill stuff. I mean, that'll always happen, right? Your digital content will always happen. You'll always put the media monies behind, you'll always do the outdoors. But for us, what's really challenging and exciting, and that really gives us the motivation to move forward is how do we provide something different, right? So definitely there are some plans in the works right now for the upcoming seasons. Nothing concrete, so won't be able to share much. But the lens again that we'll be applying is, hey, how can we engage our fans? How can we give them a unique experience? Either directly or via giving them snippets or taking them behind the scenes, something of that sort, which is a unique proposition for our fans.
Apurva, and your personal sort of, again, yeah, where do you want to see these specific sports? Are there goals that you set in your head saying that, okay, I want to take kabaddi to this point? I mean, I hope that this sport reaches this point, or this, and the same for Coco.
I think so. See, we have to keep growing, right? I mean, if we take cricket as a benchmark, which is the most popular sport, and IPL as the benchmark for a league, which is the most popular league in India, we can see the gap there is between us and the foremost league. So there is that much room to grow, and I think so. Collectively, as franchisees, along with the league, that's always the ambition, right? How do we move in that direction where we are bridging the gap, between us and the most popular sport, and taking step by step. But as a franchise, I think so. Obviously, we have our own sort of ambitions. Obviously, every franchise wants to win. We want to win the league, right? We want to be a very successful team, and success can mean not only mean in terms of just winning championships, but having the right brand ethos, the way we play on the field, the way our players behave, can we make a direct impact on our players' lives, etc. And those are the kind of success metrics we look at internally, because it's there are a lot of people, a lot of moving parts that go into uh, creating a franchise and a successful franchise, and there are qualitative and quantitative factors. So we don't want to lose sight of our qualitative factors, right? Players, coaches,
Yeah.
the impact that we are making in their lives. How can we help them while we are going on our journey of a championship win?
Apurv, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because it's very interesting. I think the sort of franchise helping players and its own people. Is there anything that you'd like to share? Any stories that you'd like to share with regards to help that's been provided to players? Because of course, I'm sure the story is very different in say a cricket where an IPL contract is sufficient for a player for a long time. Yeah.
So, see, I mean, it's simple stuff right now, Rahul. To be honest, it's the start of our journey. Capri has been involved with this team for 2 years only, but simple things, right? Just helping our players understand what options are available to them, right? In terms of the season, post-season, the kind of training we provide. Can we help them train in off-season, etc., where you know
Right.
every player comes from a different setup, every player comes from a different sort of background. So just being there for them as of now, and providing them the facilities and the support that is required uh, to kickstart things. Then eventually we want our players to become, brands themselves. So right now we are internally assessing and evaluating how can we help players do that, right? How
Okay.
can they become brands themselves? And we've not seen that in Kabaddi or Kho as of yet, right? So we don't have big player brands in the sport. So I think so that's the north star for us. That how do we take our players and elevate their profile and make them brands into them into individual brands as well.
Again, just for the audience's sake, uh, can you name a particular player or a person who's come the closest, say at least in Kabaddi, to becoming a real brand?
So I mean, in today's day and age, I think so. Pawan Sirawat is one of the names
Mhm.
who's got about 1 million followers, right? He's with JSW. JSW manages him. So he has the most number of followers in the world of kabaddi right now, right? I don't know the details in terms of uh, how is he being managed, or in terms of brand partnerships, etc. Uh, but yeah, in terms of being up there in terms of followers on social media, it's legit, right? So again, 1 million is a great number. Still room to grow though, right? Let's see how we can take our players to that million and beyond. And more importantly, what are the right steps for them to take so that they become brands, right? Uh, there are in today's day and age influencers, micro influencers, etc. I'm not a marketing guy or digital marketing guy, so I don't understand those things really deeply. Today's day and age, a lot of opportunities are out there for individuals, including players, to sort of establish themselves. I think so. It's important from a fan perspective also being able to engage directly with athletes. So how can we help our players achieve that? Is one of the visions, one of the north stars that we have, which we will take up and see how we can help them.
Okay. Before we wrap up, we ask pretty much everyone who comes on here your favorite sports memory. It could be watching live as a kid, whatever it is. Your favorite memory is of sport, any sport.
I think so. For me, there are a few, but in recent times, I would say I was involved in doing the Kabaddi World Cup. And the opening day when India played the match and we launched the Kabaddi World Cup, that would be my favorite sporting memory, because I was involved and I could see a tangible result, right? Being in the stadium, see the event launch. So that was very very precious for me.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's pretty much it, Apurv. Thanks so much for joining us. Everybody watching, please do like and share the video, subscribe to SportsKhabri, and Yeah. See you next time.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rahul. Thank you. Bye.